Hello guys, it's another episode of Sports 101 here on YouTube, and we are resuming on the back of a very interesting weekend. There were lots of fixtures in the world of football, and there were some interesting stories in the world of sports in general. Interesting results over the weekend as we head into the final international break of the year, and after that, at least we're going to get some run of good games before the next international break in March. So today on Sports 101 here on YouTube, we will be, having a recap of all the other fixtures that happened over the weekend. Let me run by you some of the major highlights of the weekend results and what we'll be discussing today on the show. United drop points from winning position again against Tottenham Hotspurs after dropping points the previous week. We'll delve into that conversation and see what exactly it is with United and their substitutions, and then dropping points or conceding goals midway through the game, somewhere in the second half when Amorim makes changes. So we'll look at that, and we'll look at some of the other fixtures as Chelsea win to move third in the Premier League. Another beautiful win from Chelsea over Wolverhampton Wanderers in the Premier League. Arsenal drop points for the first time in a very long time. They conceded 2 against Sunderland at the Stadium of Light. City blew Liverpool away, and then they had to close the gap between themselves and Arsenal as Pep Guardiola celebrated his 1,000th game in football management. We'll look at Pep Guardiola, look at his his accomplishments over the course of his career. We'll look at the highs and the lows and the trophies he's won, and whether he ranks as maybe top 3 or even the greatest manager of all time. We'll look at all that. But City, with that win over Liverpool at the Etihad, closed the gap between themselves and Arsenal to 4 points, thanks to Arsenal dropping points against Sunderland, kind courtesy of that late Sunderland equalizer. In the La Liga, Barcelona were also 4-2 winners against Celta Vigo as Marcus Rashford delivered 3 assists in that game. He looks to be settling really well in the Catalan city of Barcelona. Real Madrid play out a goalless draw for the first time in a very long time as they went goalless against Rayo Vallecano, closing the gap between themselves and Barcelona to 3 points. So Barca now second in the La Liga, 3 points behind Real Madrid in that first position. In Italy, it's getting really interesting as Napoli drop points again after losing by 2-0 away at Bologna, and that leaves them fourth in the Italian Serie A. Yes, fourth as Inter claimed top spot, beating Lazio to go joint up with AS Roma in the Italian Serie A. So there are lots of conversations to have today on the show. We'll look at Liverpool, we'll look at Arne Slot, we'll look at what exactly is the issue with Liverpool. Can they get back into that top 4? Can they still, contest for the title? Are they still title contenders? 11 games gone into the season so far. Liverpool are somewhere in 8th position. Yes, they are 8th position on the league log, yes. And then quite some points behind Arsenal, top of the league. I think about 8 points difference between themselves and Arsenal. Maybe they can catch up sometime within the season. We don't know. We'll get into all that conversation here on Sports 101. So keep it locked here. Share, like, comment. Let's know what you think as we discuss the topics, wrap up the weekend fixtures, and then delve into some of the analysis concerning some of the issues going on in some of the other football clubs. Subsequently, during the week, we are going to talk about the World Cup playoffs because that is happening on Thursday on the African scene. So we'll get deeper into that conversation because, that game is coming off on Thursday between Nigeria and Gabon, and then Cameroon against the Democratic Republic of Congo. And then the 2 winners will face off in that final on Sunday in Morocco. So there are lots to discuss in the world of football this week. And so keep it locked here. Let's know what you think on all our social media platforms, on TikTok, on Facebook, on YouTube. We are all there. And so the videos are there. Keep it coming. Remember, the show is proudly brought to you by Malibu Restaurants, just at the Takrady Harbour area behind the Antrak head office. So you can make your way there. It's a lovely ambience there. Whatever it is that you want there is there at Malibu Restaurant. They have a brilliant menu. Very, very tantalizing menu when you go there at Malibu Restaurant. They have an excellent staff, excellent customer service. You can go there and catch your football games as we always do during the Champions League. And also, don't forget, Inkunim Phones is here with us. They are located at the Takoradi Market Circle, just around the Bank of Africa area. So whatever it is that you need when it comes to phones, mid-range phones, your, premium phones, every brand that you need, whatever your budget is, you go to Inkunim Phones, you get something very, very interesting and lovely for yourself, together with phone accessories. So we'll take a quick turn around. When we come back, Kofi is here with me in the studio. We'll get deep into the conversation, analyze everything. We are going to really, really go hard at those that we need to go hard at. Keep it locked here. Welcome back, guys. It's Sport 101 here on YouTube, and I'm Sammy Breward. Kofi is here with me. And Kofi, how was your weekend?
Charlie, was amazing weekend. It was full of action. Major sporting highlights. Like you said in the synopsis, we will go to the details later, but it was an amazing weekend. I mean, all the social events that you had to go to, and all of the things that we had to get done. All in all, amazing weekend. Yeah.
We're talking about social events. We have to give our sincere condolences to our colleague, Prof, who is here with us. He's a big part of our production, and he lost his mom. So we were at the 1 week celebration over the weekend. So condolences to Prof, and we wish him and the family, well, and then the fortitude to bear the loss. And we hope that everything works out really, really well in preparation for the funeral. And we can't wait to have you back here with us in the studio. Quickly, let's get into the conversation. Early kickoff Saturday, 12:30 p.m. Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Tottenham 2, Man United 2.
Well, it's been one of the most troublesome fixtures for Manchester United in the recent past. And then, Manchester United really does not have a lot of good memories when it comes to their fixture against Spurs. I mean, it predates back to the Europa League final where United had everything on at stake and eventually had to lose that particular slot to Postecoglou's Spurs.
Yes.
And so United were going into the fixture with a good run of form, I should say. And I think that if you look at Spurs, they had played poorly over a period of time. You look at the game that they had to play against Chelsea over the last weekend, played very well, not too well, did not really create a lot of chances, and eventually had to be beaten by Chelsea. So United going there, I think that in the first 15-20 minutes of the game, you realize that it was a game of chess, very boring. Everybody was sizing each other up, and then there came that breakthrough by Brian Mbeumo towards the end of the first half. But there were some things that I looked out for in that particular game. One of the chief things that I looked out for was that not everybody on the United team played to their truest potential. You understand? I think that Cunha was hugely underwhelming. He did not play one of his best games for Manchester United. And it looks like in some of the biggest games for the season, especially on the road, the manager chooses to go with the Cunha Mbuemo and Mad Axis. You
Yeah.
understand?
Yeah.
Instead of playing with a typical number
Number
nine,
nine.
chooses to go with that axis and then chooses to keep the team compact. You realize that in the first half, Manchester United, and for most parts of the game, Manchester United were very compact, and I think that also the choices of the centre backs. So you had Maguire coming in for Euro. It made the back three a bit slower, but yes, we all know the reasons why he had to go with a Maguire, because Tottenham are very dangerous on the set pieces,
Yeah.
and then he wanted to neutralize the effect of having longer bodies in the 18-yard box and having to deal with the threats that Tottenham poses on the set pieces effect. You understand? So
Yeah.
he went for the option of Maguire, but largely I think that it was a good game. It was a good game, especially for the latter parts of the second half where both teams came to light. And I must be quick to say that I will then re-emphasize the points that you have sought to make all this while about the fact that United need to get able-bodied players in the midfield.
Yeah.
I think that it's clear that one of the biggest issues in that United team has to be the holding midfield role. And yes, Casemiro has, I think he's punched above his weight this season. He's been written off, but the time he was on the pitch, United were compact, they were solid. Together with Maguire, they were compact, they were solid. The moment Casemiro went off, and you cannot blame the coach because Casemiro, his legs are gone. He is not that player he was 5, 6 years ago when he was battling and doing all sorts of full bloody challenges in the midfield and mopping up the spaces everywhere. He's not that kind of player any longer. And so you realize that Casemiro, when he was taking off, then there was a defect in the midfield. Then all of a sudden, there were holes in the midfield. Look, I point you to one particular incident, I think for the Spurs second goal, when Odobert had to run past Ugarte.
Ugarte.
That
He played
that for
Richarlison outside.
me, that for me was everything that is wrong with that United midfield. No players in there to close the gap, no players in there to do the mopping, and I think that I'm happy that United know what it is that they have to do, because you look at the complexion of the squad, you look at the players in the midfield. If United were to get the adequate midfield partner for Bruno Fernandes and to do all the things that we expect a holding midfielder to do the mopping up, to do all of the things that everybody expects a holding midfielder to do. Look, United could be challenging for the biggest of trophies. Because look, I look at the game against Tottenham. That was a game United shouldn't have lost
Yeah.
if they had the right personnel. I look at the game against Nottingham Forest. That early second half madness. That was a game United shouldn't have dropped points. And for teams that want to win the biggest trophies on the land, these are games that you put the lid tight on. These are games that you do not drop points. And I look at the game against Nottingham Forest. I look at the game against Tottenham Hotspurs. These are games ordinarily, if United had the right personnel, if United had that full complexion of the squad that everybody envisages, these are games that United shouldn't have dropped points. And these are 4 points that United should have won. And look, I am not a rocket scientist, but if United had those 4 points, we will be talking 22 points. They will be in the mix for who it is that will be the winner for the EPL eventually. So these are some of the tiny details that United needs to be looking at. But all in all, I think that there's been a general improvement in the mentality and then the play of United. I am very happy about the mentality, because last season United would have lost this game. Last season, United would have dropped points against Nottingham Forest. I mean, probably not gotten any points against Nottingham Forest. But to show up in the manner they did against Tottenham Hotspur, even with 10 men, when Benjamin Sesko had to go off, to show up and to have characters like Delete, lead from the back and not give up, I think that was about one of the biggest pluses for me on the side of Manchester United. But Tottenham also have had their own issues. They've had their own issues. I think that there is little or no creativity in the ranks of Tottenham Hotspur. So with Madison injured, with Kulusevski injured, and then with Xavi Simons not doing what he's supposed to be doing, I think that Tottenham also need to address the issues when it comes to creativity in their units, because for most parts of the game they were flat. You understand? And you look at the manager wanting to make changes. You look at the bench that Tottenham had. Eventually, Tell came on, did the job. I think that he took his chances. A deflected goal, yes, but these are chances that you would want to take any time. You understand? But Tottenham also need to address the issue about their creativity. Once again, realize that when Kudus was not on, there was not a lot of movement within the ranks of the Tottenham attacking trio. You understand? Johnson did not really do a lot of job in there. Richarlison for most of the game was hugely absent. You understand? So I think these are two teams that proved on the said day that they are not ready to challenge for the biggest of trophies on the land. Yes.
I think that with United, as you said, in the last two games, it's 4 points dropped because these are games that United should have won. And if United had those 4 points, they would be somewhere on third position, just behind City on goal difference. And so it tells you that these are the fine margins between that position and where United currently find themselves in. And honestly, I just think that United's problem is definitely about quality of the bench, because to see games out, because now you can see that we know for sure that the team is growing in character. Because these are two games that last season United would have struggled to even get anything from those games. We see United struggle to get back into games when they are behind, and they've come from behind to secure points in the last two games, albeit these are games that the team should be winning. And it tells you that you can see where the problem is, and these problems are obviously from the changes that the team makes. Last week we mentioned that the coach did not make certain changes in that Nottingham game. In previous games we've seen certain changes that he makes, where you mentioned Casemiro coming off, and it makes us understand the reason why some players are not playing. The reason why certain players do not play, because when you see Ugarte come on, he doesn't really add much to the team. And you see some of the other changes. It tells you that it's something we've agreed on, that the United issue cannot be solved with one transfer window.
I agree.
I think the attacking bit of United's play,
It's
there's
almost
been
sorted,
some
yeah.
improvements
Major
there.
improvements.
You look at United going into another transfer window, if they can get one midfielder in January, in the summer, make some other changes, because even in terms of the wing back position,
There are issues.
There are issues.
There are issues. There are issues. I think Ahmad is a good player for the wing back, but probably the good thing is that he's a young player. So
He was battered in that Nottingham Forest game.
I know. He was the reason why United dropped some goals in that particular Nottingham Forest game. But the good thing is that he's a young player. So as he grows into that role, he probably would increase his adaptability to defending when there's the need to. But I think that United still has issues with the left wing back position. Dogu is not too consistent. His decision making in the final third of the pitch,
I think
it's a
defensively
bit.
he can get better.
He's solid. He's
Going
solid.
forward-
Yes. So his decision making is a bit suspect. You understand? Because look, when you decide to play with a wing back, then it means that you need to have the hybrid of a player who is good making defensive decisions and then good also making offensive decisions. Look, we talk about people like the guy at Inter Milan,
Denzel Dumfries.
not just Dumfries,
DiMarco.
but DiMarco. You understand? Look at the balance that they bring to the team. It's not just about the ability to defend, but when they go in the forward positions, the ability to make the right choices, to make the best judgment. It's one thing that I think is a bit lost on Dogu right now. And then when you have somebody like that Portuguese boy playing, Dalot also playing, He is not somebody who is also very consistent. Yeah, he's been around the team for 5, 6 plus years, but he's not somebody you can rely on wholly in that position. So United need to. I think that what I see potentially happening is that there will be a lot of chipping and chopping around this United team in the next 12, 24 months until we get a final product. You understand? The good thing is that United seem to know what it is that they want. You understand? And so, with all of the noises flying around, with all of the noise flying around about who it is that United, I'm sure that if I asked you now, who do you think will be the ideal midfield replacement for Casemiro in this United team? A lot of names could spring up. You understand? But the dynamics are changing. Baleba was talked about in the last transfer window. Is he the same player he is today? That Stuttgart player. You understand? I mean, is he the same player? His name was Stella?
Stella, is it Stella?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean that player. I mean,
There's been
so
Adam Watson. There's been the Nottingham Forest midfielder as well.
exactly. The English boy. You understand? So the dynamics are all too plenty. So I think that those are the areas that United needs to be looking at. I am happy, like you mentioned. I mean, look, it looks like they've gotten a hold on the goalkeeping position. Lamens is somebody who I think could grow and become very important for Manchester United. I think that the centre back pairing, it looks a bit sorted because there's a lot of quality in that regard. I mean, there's Yoro, there's Maguire, there's Delate, who's been a constant. There's Luke Shaw, who silently has come in and done an excellent job. There's potentially
It's something
Martinez,
about Luke Shaw and then Delete have been very consistent
very
in terms of
constant.
appearances.
Exactly. I
Something
mean,
that we didn't
yeah,
have
yeah,
last
yeah, yeah,
season.
yeah, yes, yes,
Shaw
yes,
has
yes.
already played
Yes,
five
yes. I
first-class
mean,
games
look,
that we played
look,
last season.
look. I think that Shaw is finally bringing his experience to bear in this particular squad. I mean, if you did a poll of the players you wanted out of Manchester United in the off-season, I'm sure his name would have sprung
Yeah.
up very high up the ladder. You understand? But you look at the job that he's coming to do. When he's fit, when he's up and running, he's about one of the best players that you can have in any squad. And his adaptability, because of his technical ability,
Yeah.
is very, very, very up there with the very best in the world. So I think that those are the problematic areas, the wing back positions, the midfield position, and probably look at some other areas in the squad. You understand? I've heard people rightly talk about the effect of Benjamin Sesko on this particular squad. I think that he's still settling in. He should have at least gotten a goal over
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
weekend. You understand? I mean, because look, if you're a striker, it's about your instincts, it's about the first touch. You understand? And I think that fundamentally, when he goes back and looks at the games that he's played and the chances that he's missed, he knows that there's work to be done. You understand? This is Manchester United. It's only a matter of time before the Sharks start settling in and then looking forward to drawing blood. So I think that there are still some problematic
Cristiano
areas.
Ronaldo, in his interview with Piers Morgan, talked about United needing players with a certain kind of personality. He says there are some, but not all the players there have the personality to play for Man United.
I agree. I agree. And I think that even before Cristiano Ronaldo, Jason Wilcox
Yeah.
granted an
Yeah.
interview, I think a little over a week ago, when he talked about the fact that, yes, when it comes to Manchester United, it's not just about players with talent, but it's about players with talent who have what it takes to play for Manchester United. Look, United will not just go out there and want to sign any player. In the past, we've seen players who probably have not been big superstars on the European front, but have been brought in and have been brought in because of their temperament, because of their ability to do a job. You understand?
Yeah.
Look at somebody like what's his name? The South Korean boy,
Pack.
Jason Park. Look at the that Silver Brothers. You understand? Look at somebody like John O'Shea. Look at somebody like Darren Fletcher. Chikarito. These are players, Nani. These are players who did not really necessarily have the high profile, but they understood what it is to play for Manchester United. And I've said that the trick for Manchester United is that it's not just about you playing for Manchester United. You need to have the temperament to play for Manchester United. And I couldn't have agreed any less with Cristiano Ronaldo if he talks about the fact that you need personalities of a sort who are able to adapt and play for Manchester United. And currently, I look through the Manchester United rank. There are some players like that. I think Lamens looks like that kind of players. You understand? He's got that personality. He's got that arrogance about him. He's got that charm about him, that aura about him. I look at Cunha. I look at Mbeumo. You understand? Bruno Fernandes is there. You understand? So you need a lot more of these alpha male in the team. Players who go out there and they know that the world is against them. They know what it takes to play for the badge. You understand? They know what it is to go to away stadiums and then play against the tide. You understand? So I agree that Manchester United needs a lot of those players in that regard. And for me, I think that it's about getting the right complexion of the team and then getting players who can play for that squad.
Well, in other fixtures, City blew Liverpool away. Goals from Nico Gonzalez, Jeremy Doku, and Erling Haaland handed them 3-0 win against Liverpool at the Etihad. This is the Liverpool side that have not really been doing well in recent games. Yes, they got a win last weekend against Aston Villa, but back against Manchester City, Liverpool have dropped points against all top 6 teams, save Arsenal. And it doesn't look good for them. As it stands now, Liverpool somewhere in 8th position. They are 8 points behind Arsenal.
Yeah.
Are they still in that title? Are they still title contenders? What exactly is it with Arne Slot? Because you look at the lineup, he brought in Florian Wirtz, played him as a winger. He dropped Cody Gakpo, who I think has been one of Liverpool's best players this season. He had to settle for a place on the bench. He came on in the second half. I don't know what exactly it is, but yes, not to take anything away from Manchester City, I think they were solid. But you look at Liverpool, you look at City, you look at Arsenal, who themselves drop points. I'm sure we'll go into that conversation. But are Liverpool still in that conversation about being up there as title contenders?
Well, I do not think Liverpool are not title contenders. They are not going to be title contenders. One, because they have a terrible squad. Yes, they might look to be stellar names on paper, but in terms of the ability to gel, the ability to perform on the highest of stages, the ability to rise to the occasion, I think that Liverpool do not really have the kind of squad that the other competitors do have. Yes, they have the names, but they do not have a good squad. And I think that, like you've always mentioned, Slot is a problem. Arne Slot is a big problem. The guy is a fraud. And the earlier we come to that realization, the better. Look, I looked at Liverpool yesterday in the game against City. 11 boys running after a ball, clueless as to what to do on the pitch of play. There was nothing pattern of play synonymous with Liverpool yesterday. And City basically had a field day. It was only down to probably the profligacy of some of the City forwards, you understand? And then the ability to take the chances that they had that kept the scoreline very respectable. Liverpool did not have a shot on target until the 77th minute when Soboslai had that ball that was saved by Donnarumma. It tells you what exactly is wrong with Liverpool. And look, today we are not going to be charitable. The issue is that Slot knows what to do, but is probably sticking to what it is that he's doing because he feels that they have made signings and reputations that do not need to be touched. Wait, he has no problem. He has no business being in the starting 11 of Liverpool. Come on, Sammy, tell me, what is that good guy good at? He was brought in to be the new Szoboszlai. I don't care what Liverpool fans think. He was brought in to be that's number 10. That player that links up the play, that player that links the midfield and the attack. You understand? The guy is not who he says he is. He might probably come good. But look,
Maybe it takes time to adapt.
no. We've always sounded this warning. There is a huge gap between playing in the Bundesliga and then playing in the APL. It can expose you brutally. You've seen examples like Shinji Kagawa. Shinji Kagawa was a world beater when he was at Dortmund until he was signed by Manchester United. Look, the physicality, the time that is going to be afforded you, and the level of technicality in the APL can and will expose you. And the pace. In the German league, when you get a ball, you can be afforded the time and the space to do a lot of the things that you want to do with the ball because of the pace, because of the tempo, because of the level of technicality. But the EPL is a brute league. The EPL is a league which is unforgiving. And I think that so far, the whole VIT experiment is proving to be a farce. Liverpool did not need VIT because I do not think he's a better player than Szoboszlai in that role. Szoboszlai is one of the most efficient players at Liverpool, and he's showing why he should be a player. Look, there's a reason why the guy is being played on the wings. And if you go back to the Vitz issue, he signed for Liverpool because there was an agreement that he would play in the number 10 role. So there are misfits in that Liverpool position. Salah. Honestly, Salah tells us that you and I are mere mortals. And that levels that you assume, you can drop from those levels anytime. I look at Salah's fall and I am amazed. I would want to affirm the word on the street. I think Salah is done. I honestly think Salah is done.
Could it be the changes to this slot side, whatever issues that happen at Liverpool, is also taking a toll on how he plays his game?
No. Yes, it could take a toll on you because we've talked about the fact that Liverpool want to play a different way this time around.
He doesn't have Trent on the same side as himself. He has new players like Ekitike and Vitz and all these guys new in the team. Alexander Isak. All new in the team, and so Slot is last season he practically played Jurgen Klopp's team, and then this season we can see some of the changes that Liverpool have made. Maybe that could be a reason.
Yes, I mean that theory is right. I mean you are not too wrong if you espouse that theory, but the theory also is that look, you can have all these changes around you, but you cannot lose your physical qualities. You cannot lose the things that made you rise to the top. And the things that made Salah rise to the top was his ability to beat a man one-on-one, to be in the right positions at the right time, and then to finish off moves. That's what made Salah rise to the top. All of these elements have deserted him at this material time. It took Nico O'Reilly to stop him. And I think that in a world where we are so fixated on forward players and their ability to do the things that change games in the final third of the game, I think that somebody like Nico Riley, if not for the exploits of Jeremy Doku, should have been the man of the match yesterday, because the sort of balance that he brings to the City defense, it's not spoken about. Because of him, Guardiola can push to the defensive position right now and then make a perfect partnership with that Portuguese boy. You understand? So yes. So you look at the balance when very early in the game when he was almost on the verge of going off. You saw the look on Pep Guardiola's face. Kid is originally a midfielder, has been transformed into a left fullback, and is doing an amazing job playing at left fullback. Yes, I agree that Salah is not one on form, but Salah is done. And I think that this is where the manager needs to earn his money. Look, Do you build a squad based on meritocracy or based on just names and reputations in the past? I think this is exactly what is going on at Liverpool right now. The manager is choosing players based on reputations in the past. He's not choosing players based on meritocracy. If you're choosing players based on meritocracy, there's no way Gapo shouldn't have started this game. And we all saw the impact of Gapo when he came on in this game. If probably he had started this game, we could be having a different conversation. And that is why I think that Slot is not who he says he is. He's not a good manager. Honestly, he's not a good manager. He might have gotten away with winning the league last season. I think he could have summed it any better. That he rode on the influence of Klopp's team, and because there was the core there, and then the boys knew how to play together, and then he did a bit of influx in some department. Now he's been given his team. The guy looks lost. Liverpool lost 4 games last season. In the whole of the season, they have already lost 5 games this season. And we are not even up to halfway through the season.
Lost 5 out of 11.
11, that is serious. So for me, I look, Liverpool are far away from the title. They are not going to win the league. They are not title contenders because the center is simply not holding. What is it that is good about Liverpool today? What is the one thing that is good about Liverpool today? Is it their signings? No. Can they keep clean sheets? No. Can they score goals? No. Can they be tactically flexible? No. Is it on the manager? Yes. Sammy, there are issues.
You know, I said this thing at the start of the season, and I hope Jeff can help us find that recording where we analyzed Liverpool's transfers and we talked about the fact that last season, and the Liverpool fans would never agree. Last season, Liverpool deserved to win the league, but you know they won the league because they were the most informed team, and that is because other teams didn't play up to the standard that we expected them to play.
Yeah.
Arsenal went off at some point. We saw what happened with Pep and City last season. We saw Chelsea last season. And so Liverpool were the most consistent team last season. And so coming into this season, we're always going to expect other teams to improve the quality of their squad. Teams would go into the transfer market. Teams would make proper signings. We've seen Tottenham do that. We've seen Man United do that. We've seen Chelsea do that. We've seen Arsenal do that. We've seen all these other teams make proper signings. So that tells you that there will be competition this season. Liverpool themselves were the biggest spenders. But when you make certain signings, and we mentioned that at the start of the season, that you would need to make wholesome changes to a title winning squad.
Yeah.
There are two things. It's either they hit the ground running, and if they don't, it means that you will need some time for these players to adapt and play together and then, you know, pick up the points that you want them to pick up. Whilst you are doing that, the league is not waiting for you.
Yeah.
And so you're going to drop a couple of points here and there. And by Christmas, you would be about 6 to 8 to 10 points behind the team at the top of the league. And that's exactly what we are seeing now. And as it stands now, Liverpool are 8 points off the top. We are getting into the last transfer window before Christmas. They come back and they still have a couple of difficult fixtures. They are playing in the Champions League. And then by January, if they are still some way off, then that's the season, that's the league gone for Liverpool. And so I just look at this Liverpool team and I think that maybe they might be rethinking the decisions they made in the summer, making all these wholesome changes. We mentioned Mohamed Salah being replaced. But as it stands now, yes, they've brought in Ekitike, they brought in Isak. Gradually, you know, trying to, what we can see, Liverpool are trying to change how they play because everything used to go through Salah. They know they will probably not get the best of Salah even by next season. He might even move on. And so they have to start playing differently. And all these things will take a toll on the side. And that's where you need a very, very tactically astute manager to be able to implement some of these things, which is what Arne Slot is not doing.
Well, those are the issues. If I probably ask you this question now: who is it that you think Liverpool need to get when the transfer window opens? I'm pretty sure we will be having a lot of difficulty identifying who it is that Liverpool really wants. I mean, if the transfer window was open today, which player do you think Liverpool needs to
The
sign?
Liverpool side, the Liverpool fans will mention Gehi.
Centre back?
That's what they will say because a lot of them are already talking about Magehi if you were in the team
Ahead of who?
ahead of Konate. But I don't think Liverpool's problems has to be with whatever is going on at the back
No, you know.
because the entire team is not playing well. It's not just the back line.
Well, I do have a problem, but the issues are that when the whole team is not playing well, you probably might be a bit over fixated on some other, and I think that there's a lot more attention on the centre back pairing now
yeah.
because it's easy to put them or make them scapegoats. I think that the look, it runs through the whole course
Because
of the
if you
team.
look at every aspect of the Liverpool side, I don't think they need any signings anyway.
That's the point. They need proper coaching. They need proper coaching. And probably they don't need to wait for the transfer window to open. They need to go into the transfer window now. Slot is not the man. He is not the man to build the dynasty. Look, when Liverpool were making all of these signings, the picture being painted out there was that they are going to go out there and then establish the dynasty.
Yeah.
Because when you have just won the league, you do not just want to make this statement by signing all of these players. So when you go out there and sign all of these players, the picture being painted is that, look, we are going to establish a dynasty, and we are going to do so signing, make statements and signing all of these players. But you do not sign all of these players. I mean, they've bought Lexus for an Abuboya driver. And for me, that's a big problem.
Jeff is saying that Kofi is obsessed with slots, and Isaac Forsen says, Sammy, is this not the same Liverpool players who won the first 5 matches? Did Liverpool win their first 5 matches?
Yeah, they did. Even when they were winning games.
No, but they were conceding goals. We
Even when they were winning games, I was one of the people who were saying that, look, don't be blinded by the result. Don't be blinded by the result. Because if you go back and watch the Liverpool first 5 games that they were winning, they were not winning because they were that convincing. They are exactly. Look, games against Newcastle and all of those other matches, they won because there was a dent of luck on their side around that time.
Yeah.
It was not because they were playing convincingly well. So don't be overly fixated by the fact that and don't be one of those people who just looks at the scorecard and thinks that Liverpool were playing well because they deserve to be winning games and all of that.
Well, Bingo says that I think Liverpool will bounce back. Arsenal has started drawing their games. This year will end beautifully. Bingos, I would hate to surprise you, but if Arsenal should be worried about any team, it's not Liverpool, it's Manchester City. And talking about Manchester City, Pep Guardiola managed his 1,000th game in football management, and it's a brilliant record. 1,000 games, 716 wins, 40 trophies, and he's won 716, drawn 156 and lost 126, 2,445 goals scored, 813 goals conceded. And so he coached 42 times with Barcelona B, 247 times with FC Barcelona, 161 with Bayern Munich, and 550 games with Manchester City. Is he up there as one of the greatest of all time?
Well, I think Pep is, without a shadow of doubt, Pep is one of the greatest.
Is he the greatest?
I don't think he's the greatest. I don't think he's the greatest.
Who comes ahead of him? He has a brilliant accomplishment.
He does. But I think that Pep is an opportunist. But you make your own luck. You understand? I mean, I think he's always gone to places where The grass is always a bit lasher.
But we've
You
seen other
understand?
coaches go to some of these places and they struggle. We are we
Like,
are
like,
we are talking about Arne Slot with all the money spent, and you look at where Liverpool are.
no, Liverpool. No, Liverpool is an exception because I do not think that if you put the conversation in the context of the places that Pep Guardiola has been to, and then you probably want to align it with Liverpool, I do not think that they would make the same conversation. Look, he went to Barcelona when they had won the Champions League. They had won some league trophies with Rijkaard. Brings guys from the La Masia, goes ahead to build a dynasty. You understand? And I think that at Barcelona, he was fortunate to have one of the best teams in the history of the game. Come on, I mean, that team that he had at Barcelona, um, arguably one of the best teams ever to have played the game.
Yeah.
And his coming to Barcelona coincided with the rise of Xavi and Iniesta, together with Busquets, who he brought from the La Masia, you understand? And then he spent heavily at Barcelona.
But we
Look,
shouldn't forget that he also took some very, very drastic decisions, letting some big players go, and then it
that's
didn't backfire.
no
He knew what he was doing.
that you cannot take it away from him. That he had to let somebody like Ibrahimovic go and let
Eto'o
Messi play in
and
that
all these
false
guys.
number nine
Yeah.
role, where
Yaya Toure
probably
and all these
Yaya
guys.
Toure, Yaya Toure was one of the members who played in the centre back position in
Yeah.
that Champions League final against
2009.
Manchester
Yeah.
United. Yeah, so letting Yaya Toure go and then making some of the changes. I think that that's where you need to earn your wages as a manager. um, Made some good decisions. You understand? Virtually went very well in his favor. His time at Barcelona, hugely successful. Went to Bayern Munich. We do not need to forget that he went to Bayern Munich when Jupp Heynckes had won a treble with that Bayern Munich team a season before.
Yeah.
You understand? So he took an all-conquering Bayern Munich team. And come on, we know the things that happen at Bayern Munich. When it comes to Bayern Munich winning the domestic duo of kind of double of the DFP Pokal and then the Bundesliga, it should not be a problem. But Bayern Munich, he never moved beyond the semi-finals in the Champions League. That is quite problematic.
Well, looking at Pep, and then that brings us to Arsenal. Now, Pep is second on the league log, 4 points behind Arsenal. Last week, we talked about Arsenal in detail, and I remember mentioning that this Arsenal side are just one or two injuries away from the usual excuses. Arsenal arguably have the best squad in the league. Now they have, Martinelli wasn't available, Gokeres wasn't available, the captain Odegaard, he wasn't available in that game, Madueke wasn't available in that game, and so when they start getting some of these challenges, the mental aspect of the game, to a very large extent, starts getting to the team. We saw the change. Ateta made. He took off Eze, brought on a defender, Mosquera, trying to, you know, um,
Show up
show
the
up
game.
the
Yeah.
defense and
Yeah.
then secure that 2-1 win. But it didn't work out. Yes, we have to give credit to Sunderland. This Sunderland side were solid, and they take advantage of their long throws. Coyote from that right back position, he's brilliant with those throw-ins, and then whatever, the second balls and all of that. Arsenal, we know, are a very solid side. They've gone quite a number of games without conceding a goal. They've been very, very consistent. But they met a very, very good Sunderland side that were able to make Arsenal drop points for the first time in a long time. Now, City are breathing down the necks of Arsenal. We are back to the same situation. And if it goes on like this up to Christmas and then we start the new year in January, what exactly will Arsenal do differently from what they've been doing in previous seasons?
Well, I think Arsenal need to show a lot of mental fortitude. From now till the league is over, it's not just down to ability, it's down to how tough you are mentally. You understand? And I've always said this, that if you have experienced chasers breathing down your neck, it could send a lot of shivers down the spine of the leading pack. You understand? Because you're not just talking about Liverpool, you're talking about City. If you took an average of the City squad, you realize that 90% of them have won trophies. You understand? So negotiating the difficult part of the game, which is that you have to deal with the pressure of having the runnings and all of that. This is a City squad that is adept to moving around those bends. You understand? So I think that the onus lies on the coach to whip the boys back in line and then encourage them to do what it is that they have done. Because look, that's how brutal the APL is.
Does the coach himself have that mental fortitude
That's the point.
to handle the
That's
pressure?
the point. That's the point.
They've been there 3 times in a row
That's
and
the
staring
point.
them in the face
That's
again.
the point. Because when some of these situations start springing up, and then you do not have the calmness around you, and something struck me yesterday when in the post-match interview, the commentators and the interviewers kept talking about the fact that Pep Guardiola has had buffeted his squad and had picked important elements in Klopp's Liverpool team. So Linders and all of those other guys have been brought on board at City. You understand? So you have not just players who are very good at negotiating those games, but you have people who are technically very good and have been there, have seen it, have experienced it, who are part of the technical team for City now. You understand? So these are the little details that make a lot of the changes that we see will happen eventually when all is said and done. So I think that this is where Arteta needs to earn his money, because it's not going to be easy. You drop 2 points and all of a sudden you look on the rear mirror and City are closing in on your tails. You understand? It's going to be a long chase.
Now, Arsenal, after the international break, will be playing at home to
Very
Tottenham,
difficult fixtures.
and that big game. Then they go play in the Champions League against Bayern Munich, which will take a toll on the team. Then they come back, and then the next game, just about 4 days later, is to go away to Stamford Bridge against Chelsea. Now, a Manchester City side breathing down your neck, they just need Arsenal to drop points, because somewhere in the title running on 18th of April, Arsenal would be playing Manchester City. And that game would be at the Etihad. And so Arsenal need to be consistent. Because there was a time where it was about 6 points gap. You can afford to lose one game. But this is a Manchester City side that we know.
They are
ruthless. Especially after the new
after
year,
January,
they hardly drop points.
They are ruthless. I mean, so
City can go 15 points, 15 games, winning streak in the Premier League.
Anyway,
so do you still think that this Arsenal side can win the league?
I think they should win the league.
We all think they should win the league, but can they? Do they have that mental fortitude?
I think they will. I think they will.
Because when you are in a position where you have been in consistently, and there's something like deja vu, you can see it coming.
So you see, this is a deja vu.
You can see it coming, where you can feel City breathing down your
on
necks,
a more
or
serious
Liverpool
note,
or
on a
something
more
like that.
lighter note, probably if Arsenal lose this league, we need to invite them to Ghana.
To do what?
Take them to Market Circle.
And do what?
Sweep the whole of the Market Circle.
Because look, Chelsea are 6 points behind Arsenal. And then they are silent there after that 3-0 win against Wolverhampton. Chelsea are just there in that conversation, in third position. They also have a claim to the title. Yes, you might not say they are title favorites because City are in that conversation. Liverpool have dropped off. I don't think that Liverpool will recover in time to be, top 3, top 2, or even win the league. Yes, they might still play Champions League football, but Liverpool will still need to clean their mess, and it will take them a couple of games where they will still drop points. But with this Arsenal side, And the fact that we've started hearing the same excuses, this is not available, this player is not available, and then a certain
No, but
players,
I think those excuses should not be springing up now.
it's already springing up.
I do not think, because with the level of squad that Arsenal do have, I do not think that we
They
need to
didn't
have
have
it.
Gokeres,
No,
so
I don't
they
think.
said Merino had to play
No,
as a
no, no, no,
nine.
no. I don't think that we should be having that conversation now.
Odegaard is out,
No, 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 no.
and then
If Odegaard is out, Eze is in.
well, Martinelli wasn't available.
Oh, please, we should not be having that conversation now. You understand? I think that that would be so unfair to all of our consciences if we continue having that conversation about who was not available for us now. I do not think that we are being fair to the consciences of people.
Well, anyway, for the Arsenal fans, let us know what you think in the comment section. It's beginning to get heated up after the transfer window. Sorry, after the international break. Arsenal welcome Tottenham to the Emirates, and then they play at home against Bayern Munich in the Champions League. And these are two teams that have not dropped any points, in the Champions League so far. They have 100% record, and they come up against each other in the Champions League match day 5. And just after that, Arsenal have another difficult game going away to Stamford Bridge against Chelsea in third position. So, um, just between now and the early part of December, it's very, 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 very interesting times for Arsenal. But let me tell you about Malibu. And Malibu have something interesting for you every day of the week. On Mondays, it is buy a dish from 200 cities upwards and get 10% discount. 200 cities upwards, you get 10% discount for every dish that you buy at Malibu. And on Tuesdays, it is jazz and reggae nights for all our reggae and jazz lovers. Just go there and relax after work in a very, very cozy ambient and enjoy proper jazz music, proper reggae music, at Malibu restaurants. Karaoke night is on Wednesdays from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. And my favorite is the happy hour on Thursdays, where you buy one mineral water or beer and you get one for free at Malibu on Thursdays. And that also is in the evenings after work at Malibu restaurants. Fridays is old school jams for our friends that are into old school music, that like the old school music. So Fridays at Malibu, old school jams. On Saturdays, it is ladies' night. On Saturdays at Malibu restaurant. So all the beautiful ladies, you make your way to Malibu, you get something really, really special in a very, very lovely atmosphere at Malibu. On Sunday, it is family gathering where you can go with your families to Malibu restaurant, have fun, have a good time at Malibu, whatever it is that you want to engage in at Malibu. Will they have a good time? To contact Malibu, the details are just right there on the screen. I can actually mention it for you: 031 and you can get all the other details just there on the screen. And Malibu is located just behind the Amtrak head office at the Takrady Harbor area. And let me tell you about Inkunim phones as well. I always talk about Inkunim phones and I get excited when I talk about Inkunim phones. From here, we are going to Inkunim phones to get Kofi's 12 Pro, or I don't know if it's 12 Pro he wants or 15 Pro. I know he wants a Pro phone, so we are going to Inkunim phones to get his phone. They have all the latest phones. I understand that they even have the latest Samsung Galaxy A17. They have that there as well. Very, very budget friendly. Whatever it is that you need, from low end phones, mid range phones, the high end phones, the 17 Pro Max, the S24, S25 Ultra, Google Pixel Pro, the 10 Pro, 9 Pro, whichever it is that you want. If you want your, Infinix phones, your Huawei phones, whatever it is that you want, Techno phones, whichever it is that you want, including phones is the place for you. You get all the accessories, the chargers, the screen protectors, everything, the phone cases. They are located just at the Takrady Market Circle. Very, very easy to find. They have a very, very visible signpost there at Inkunim Phones, right adjacent the Bank of Africa at Takrady Market Circle. When you go there, just tell them that you heard about them from Sports 101 and you get something really, really nice from Inkunim Phones at a budget friendly price. Now let's go into the Spanish La Liga. In the La Liga, there were some very, very interesting results in the Spanish La Liga over the weekend. And Real Madrid dropped points, interestingly, in the La Liga, and that has allowed Barcelona to close the gap between themselves and Real Madrid to just 3 points after 11 games played. And so Real Madrid went away to Rayo Vallecano and played out a goalless draw, which is the first time Madrid have gone some games without scoring a goal. And Barcelona themselves were, impressive winners against Celta Vigo away from home. Marcus Rashford getting a hat trick of assists, and Celta Vigo 2, Barcelona 4. Frankie de Jong, somewhere later in the game, conceded. He was shown the red card for a second yellow card, but that didn't derail the side as Barcelona closed the gap down to 3 points between themselves and Real Madrid. And so we'll be looking at that those two games and how Hansi Flick's side has closed the gap down between themselves and Real Madrid. And then there are rumors about issues in the Real Madrid dressing room. These rumors are not going away. Talking about the players not liking each other, talking about egos getting the better of the players in the Real Madrid dressing room. And when you talk about the players, we are talking about Jude Bellingham, we are talking about Vinicius Junior, we are talking about Kylian Mbappe. These are the guys that are making the headlines when it comes to talk about egos in that Real Madrid dressing room, and how Xabi Alonso looks to find that balance of getting the guys playing for each other. It's a World Cup year, and then all these guys would want to end the season on a very, very good note before going into the World Cup season. So we'll talk about that briefly. But again, let me run by you some of the results as well in the Italian Serie A. Getting very, very interesting. Napoli drop points and are now fourth on the league log after losing 2-0 away to Bologna. Inter themselves, were winners against Lazio, and so now they are joint top of the Italian Serie A with AS Roma. And so in the Italian Serie A, it is Inter Milan on top position with 24 points after 11 games. AS Roma in second position with 11 games played and 24 points. So just behind Inter on goals difference. AC Milan have moved up to third position, 22 points. Napoli dropped to fourth position on 22 points. Bologna, kind courtesy of that win against Napoli, have moved up to fifth position, occupying that Europa League position for the Italians. And Juventus also now in sixth position, on 19 points for the Italian Serie A. So these are the standings when it comes to the Italian Serie A. But back to the Spanish La Liga, we could see how Barcelona were able to get that result in that game against Rayo Vallecano. Before Kofi comes in, let's look at what exactly this Barca side did. You look at the lineup and how they played. Lamine Yamal again coming into that game, getting a goal in that game for Barcelona. Robert Lewandowski returning to the Barcelona side and getting a hat trick on his return. Marcus Rashford, who has also got that call up into the the English national team for the international break in their World Cup qualifiers, also hitting form at the right time for this Barcelona side. And in my opinion, if you look at how the team lined up with Eric Garcia back in that right back position ahead of Kunde, who missed out on that game as a result of having a knock or an injury. There's Araujo there, there's Kubasi there, and there was Balde. And so you look at that midfield trio that started, Dani Olmo together with Fermin Lopez and Frankie de Jong. It wasn't your usual Barcelona midfield trio with Frankie de Jong coming into that side. Yes, you'd expect to see maybe the likes of Kubasi in there. You'd expect to see the likes of Pedri in there, but these guys were not available for that game. And so Barcelona were able to start with three practically a different midfield trio because Olmo and Fermin Lopez are, practically attacking minded players. But you see how Barcelona were able to play with these guys and then come into the team together with Marcus Rashford. I just think that just maybe the opponent that they came up against in terms of Celta Vigo couldn't really exploit that back line or that high line that Barcelona play. Yes, we know that this Barcelona side are vulnerable to that high line that they play, but they conceded goals, yes, which is normal for this Barcelona side as we've seen this season. But the fact that they were able to get those goals, 4 goals away from home, we saw the impact of Marcus Rashford. I just think that this Barcelona side still have a lot of improving to do, and with the way that this Barca side are playing and the challenges that this Real Madrid side are having, if there were to be an El Clasico tomorrow, obviously Barca will be my favorite, and they'll just find a way to close the gap against this Real Madrid side. Because you look at Real Madrid in the Champions League, losing against Liverpool, not scoring a goal in back-to-back games, drawing away from home in the league over the weekend. The gap has been close to 3 points. That brings pressure on this Real Madrid side, coupled with the fact that the talks about as I said earlier on, the dressing room issues, egos in the dressing room, players, not liking each other. I don't know if Kofi has said about that, but it doesn't really look like the atmosphere in the Real Madrid side is healthy, in my opinion.
Well, if you have 3 points over Barcelona at any time, it's a good lead. It's a good lead. And comparatively, if you look at the two projects, Real Madrid is the one who seemingly are undertaking a project. You understand? I do not think that there's been a lot of changes regards Barcelona and what it is that they want to do, because virtually they are having to continue a project that began last season, and then they are having to continue that project under Flick. You understand? So I think that Real Madrid, being in the position they are, will be excited, because having 3 points over Barcelona, I think it's a good result. You understand? It's a good feeling at this material time. And for me, I think that it even comes a bit early, regards what it is that Real Madrid are trying to do with Xabi Alonso and all of these other things that they have envisioned. You understand? I would not want to pay a lot of attention to some of these media stories, and these stories coming from Barcelona outlets. You understand?
You think they're coming from Barcelona outlets?
I think this propaganda. You understand? About players not liking each other. Who told you players always have to like each other? Players don't always have
They
to
don't
like
have
each
to,
other.
but when it starts affecting the output on the pitch, then it becomes a problem.
No, but if you followed Madrid and their travels to Rayo Vallecano, yesterday's results will not shock you. It's a ground they have traditionally struggled to get results anytime they visited that place. You understand? So if you want to put it in context, I do not think that it's something that really has to shock you. And Rayo Vallecano themselves this season are playing very, very well. You understand? So I'm not too shocked about the results that came out from their play against Rayo Vallecano yesterday. But regards Barcelona, yes, they are scoring a lot of goals. You understand? But is that really what you want? I mean, if you cannot keep clean defenses or clean sheets, really, what are you going to win at the end of
But
the
what
season?
matters is that you score your opponent.
But you cannot always outscore opponents. You cannot always outscore opponents. We saw what happened to them in the Champions League. I mean, look, you're playing against Club Brugge. Club Brugge were robbed. They had to win that game. So if you want to win the biggest trophies, you potentially want to play against some of the big boys in Europe. PSG, Bayern Munich, Liverpool, all of them. You want to win the biggest trophy. Chelsea, potentially, you understand? You want to win the biggest trophies in the world. You do not do so just being cavalier in front of goal.
Yeah.
You need to have a mean back. And for me, it's the reason why I think Barcelona are not going to win the biggest trophies this season.
What do you make of Marcus Rashford?
Fantastic player. Barcelona should sign him. Fantastic player.
If he continues with this form, United shouldn't,
No. We don't need him at Manchester United. Barcelona should sign him. Fantastic player. He loves it in Spain. Please, bring the money, sign him, make him a very important player in your team. He enjoys life in Spain. You understand?
Yeah.
So I think the Barcelona need to keep the boy. Keep the boy. The boy is found a lot of love playing football again. I think the long may he continue. But you see, I am happy for him. And I think that if Rafinha does come back, it just improves the options that Barcelona have in that particular position at the left side of their attack. It tells you the coach can do a lot of variations. You understand? And so, happy to have had the boy playing the way he's playing now. I think it's good news for
Shouldn't it
Barcelona.
be a worry to Real Madrid that this Barcelona side can actually close that gap,
Why is it?
especially
Why should it
with
be
the
a
fact
worry?
that they are likely to get Rafinha back. Pedri is not in the team at the moment. He will be back in the team.
Why should it be a
There is
worry to Barcelona?
Casado who will be back in the team, and even then, Barcelona are still, they're still there.
Why should it be a worry to Real Madrid? When it comes to crunch, Real Madrid will beat them. So I don't think they need to be worried.
Anyway, finally, the Italian Serie A are also getting very interesting. Napoli drop points, 2-0 loss to Bologna. Inter Milan back on top of the league log. Napoli, surprisingly, fourth. Just we know that the points gap is not something huge, but every point matters.
Napoli look like they don't want to defend the league trophy. They've gone through a terrible patch of form,
Yeah.
and they are not a team on form. And the thing is that AC Milan have a good manager now. You understand? They have a squad that is good enough to challenge for trophies in the context of Italian football. Inter Milan have seemingly shaken off their early season disappointment. And their captain, Lautaro Martinez, what a player.
Yeah.
What a player. They blew away Lazio yesterday. And they did it in emphatic fashion. You understand? I mean, the Inter that we have come to know are ruthless. You understand? Especially when it comes to Simeone Inzaghi's Inter. When they spot something that is of a loophole, they just take advantage of it and then do what it is that they have to do and then move their way. And I think that this Inter is developing that kind of character. The Serie A has taught us that we do not need to come to conclusions very early.
Yeah.
But I think that from where I sit, it doesn't look too good for Napoli. Because look, there are other people who are starting to come into the picture. All of a sudden, Spalletti has come to Juventus. We know Spalletti's reputation when it comes to coaching, especially in Italy. You understand? Now, look at Inter Milan. The guy who is running the show right now is growing into his game. Look at AC Milan. Who is coaching AC Milan now? You understand? Experienced head. You understand? So, it's not really going to be. And I don't think the Napoli have the best squad in Italy. I think that Inter Milan have the best squad in Italy. And now Inter Milan seemingly have a 2-point advantage over both Napoli and then Roma.
They are
No,
level
I
of
think
points with
Roma.
Roma.
You understand? So, and Roma themselves, they have become a dark horse in this whole conversation. But they have a very good experience core and they are playing very well. You understand? Plus, you throw in the mix of the Comos, the Bolognas, those teams who will not win the league, but will offer a lot of resistance to people who want to win the league. So they will eventually be kingmakers. I think that we need to pay a lot of attention to the Serie A. Last season was quite interesting, but I think that from the early warnings and the early indications that we're having in the Serie A this season, it looks like this might even be a better Serie A season.
Well, Lyrics is saying quite a lot. He says before the October international break, Arsenal led City and Liverpool with 3 points and 1 point respectively. Going into the November break, we are leading with 4 and 8 respectively. Just mind the gap. I don't know the kind of chasing or breathing down the neck City is doing, but if people think they are really going to win the league ahead of Arsenal with their performance, then we won't worry. We drop points indeed, but it will be better. We applaud Sunderland for that performance because they were very solid. You know what it means to score 2 goals against this Arsenal team. Anyway, That's lyrics for you. The Arsenal fans are talking a lot, but it's all good for the Arsenal fans. We are here. In the next couple of months, we will see whether Arsenal will still be top of the league. I still think that they should win the league, but as to whether or not they can hold that first position between now and the end of the season, that's for us to see. Remember, this is Sports 101. Let's know in the comment section what you think. Give us your opinion and your analysis on all the topics that we've discussed. And remember, the Fantasy Premier League is on. Last weekend was terrible for a lot of managers, myself included. And so I haven't had the balls to go and see where I am on the league log. I'm sure I've dropped somewhere.
It
But
was a good weekend.
Kofi says it was a good weekend for him. I don't know where he is. It was a good weekend for him, but he's somewhere bottom of the table.
Oh, rebuilding. I had
more
60 points over the weekend.
60 points
Yeah,
over the
60
weekend.
points. I did, yeah.
My bench actually gave me 14 points. I don't know why I haven't boosted my bench in the past couple of weeks. I've always had at least 14 points from my bench, and I don't know why I have not activated my bench
Had
boost.
60
But
points over the weekend.
the
Yeah.
code is there on the screen. You can join the Fantasy Premier League, the Sports 101 Fantasy Premier League. There's something interesting for you to win at the end of the season. It's been a brilliant show here.
I was actually the best performing manager over the weekend.
In the Sports 101.
Yeah.
So where do you lie on the league?
I am 39th
Out of
out of 44.
so you actually moved up a bit.
Yeah, I'm moving up.
Okay, so
I can see Lucky now. He's the one my focus is on now.
where is Lucky?
Lucky, I think Lucky is 30th.
30th.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Lucky is 32nd. You are 30th.
So I dropped.
So,
I used to
yeah.
be in the 20s.
Yeah.
Anyway, so just kindly join the Fantasy Premier League, the Sports 101 Fantasy Premier League. The code is right there on the screen, and let's have a good time. And at the end of the season, we'll crown the winner. So if Kofi is 30 something or 32nd in the Sports 32nd, 38 or 36 or something, 39th. Imagine where he is in the overall rankings in the world. It's somewhere around maybe 10 million or something. So just let's have fun in the Sports 101 Fantasy Premier League. We'll be back on Thursday. And on Thursday, we'll be looking at the FIFA World Cup qualifiers. A lot of them is going on in Europe. On the African scene, there is Nigeria against Gabon in Morocco. That game is 4 p.m. GMT. There is also the Democratic Republic of Congo against Cameroon. The winners of both games go on to play that final on Sunday afternoon in Morocco to get that African slot for the intercontinental playoffs for the final two slots of the FIFA World Cup in Mexico, United States, and Canada 2026. So on Thursday, we're back here. We'll do an in-depth analysis of those games and how the teams can make it to the World Cup, what exactly this playoff is all about, and we'll analyze everything here. We'll look at some of the results from the European scene in terms of the World Cup qualifiers as well. Until then, enjoy your week, have fun, and let's meet again on Thursday morning.